Okay, let's get to firing the marker. So I've just screwed in a standard ASA fill nipple. We've got a remote line on here with an on-off valve. There's no paint in it right now. In between videos I did chrono it just to see where it was at. After cleaning it, everything I've done to it is chronoing still a little low. It's not as bad as I thought it was. It's about 240 FPS, so plenty of room for improvement, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You can actually play a game with it. Balls may or may not break, depending on the range. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera at a slight distance and just show you some of the features of the gun as it fires, mainly just showing you that it fires, and then I'll show you the auto trigger feature. Bring the camera back and show you little tricks I noticed. One or two things to help you out if you have any issues with the marker. So let's make sure you got set up here out of the back of my trailer in the middle of my garage. Good enough. If I have to reshoot this, I'll reshoot this. I'll try yelling. So we're just going to hook up the air source. Make sure we're pointed in the safe direction. I don't have any paint in this thing. I'm not going to bother to put on a mask right now. If I had paint in there, I'd have a mask on. Safety first, kids. All that fun stuff. Standard safety here. I'm gassing it up in a safe direction. You really can't see here, but this little indicator is going to pop out. The indicator's out. We know the gun is gassed up. Why not? We'll have it tied up just for fun. So with the safety on, the trigger still has a lot of movement in it. About the same amount of movement as if the safety weren't on. It just won't actually fire the marker. So again, if the gun's not firing, it's probably because the safety's on. Take the safety off. Cock it first. Boom, she fires. It won't work if you, the trigger pull's very light. Now, instead of the bolt lock mechanism, like I said, this thing has no paint in it whatsoever. Bolt locks on, bolt locks off, doesn't matter. It'll still fire because I've disabled bolt lock. However, what it can do now, which is really fun and really useful, is auto trigger. Every time as long as I hold that trigger down and cock it, it'll still fire. Now, sometimes if you go into an auto trigger burst like that, the way the trigger is set up and the way I set it up, it's my fault. It'll sometimes pop off, and now I'm going to show you how to undo that. And one of the other tricks I noticed, like I said in my last video, that the spring was messed up in here, the way I put it in. That's actually not the case, and I'll show you right now what I'm talking about. So degas the gun first. All right, make sure. Yep. And so what I was talking about earlier, saying, hey, that spring was binding up and it just wasn't pumping as smooth as I liked. Well, that's simply because this lower tube here is also threaded, and if you screw it in all the way, it won't actually line up. So what you want to do is take a look at it here and just make sure that that line is lined up with that screw, and you can see that mold line on the plastic grip. As long as those are in line, you'll have a nice smooth slide. There won't be any resistance to it. Unfortunately, you can't screw this thing all the way in, or you're going to get some binding in the grip. But that's fine. Just make sure that you line everything up, and then tighten this guy down as hard as you can. There's a clamp basically between the two barrels. It'll hold them in place. So anytime you have to mess with the barrel, take the barrel off, or mess with this thing, you're going to have to just make sure that this bottom tube's aligned, and you'll notice right away when the pump's not working right. So let's say we went through an auto trigger burst, and next round, as you can see, off on a tangent here, still have not put these back on, just because these screws poke in enough that you can't actually slide this out. Without having to assemble the entire gun to parts like I did in the last video, we can actually still get to see the trigger group and see if there are any issues. So we went through a full auto trigger burst. Marker's not firing anymore. Easy fix. So we're just going to go ahead and pop off the barrel to loosen the front sight. And usually it's a lot easier just to take this front sight off, because sometimes it'll kind of bind with the barrel. Let's not doing it right now. So we're going to take the barrel off just to give us a little more room. You don't have to take it all the way off. And our push pin right here, we're going to push all the way out. And that should give us access into the internals. And yeah, there it is on the ground. Alright. Push pin's out now. We can just Now the barrel is not going to be the limiting piece. You can see right here that bolt pin is, but we can get right here, and this is going to be the issue, right there. That screw, that Phillips head screw, holds this piece of the trigger on. When we pull the trigger, this actuates it, and it'll just hold it down. And you see that little tab sticking down here, right here. That is the hammer itself, and as you move the slide forward and that's engaged, it's going to hit this part here when it's up and engaged, and that'll allow you to auto-trigger. Now, through vibration, through whatever, I've tried to put a screw in there, I've tried to put an O-ring on there. Sometimes this will loosen up just through vibration, and when it loosens, this will move enough, like that. Now it won't, it's still engaging, but it's not engaging enough to activate the hammer. See, if it's all the way forward, there's just that extra bit of movement, and hopefully you can see this coming through. So if that happens to you, your gun's not firing anymore. And again, for anyone who has a stock Wrap 68, this is not really helpful for you. This is just the way I did the auto trigger. Just really tighten that guy down. As long as it's all the way tightened down, and as long as it's as far forward as you can get that part, the thing should be fine. You know, just slap that back on and pop that in place. That's it for the modifications I've made to the Wrap 68 shotgun. Firing it, taking it apart, putting it back together. If you have a stock model, it won't be much different than this. I highly, highly recommend putting an auto trigger modification into it. It makes it a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more like a normal a paintball gun. And rather than having the bolt lock on you, you know, you get a nice high rate of fire. You can empty the entire, what I think it's 16 rounds or something that's held in here, you know, in half a second. It's very satisfying, especially if you decide, you know, you want to unload on a single person that's pissing you off. Not that I condone such things. Anyway, that's it.